Hey YouTube, happy Thanksgiving Eve. Hope you guys all have a great, safe, fun holiday with friends and family. In today's video, I want to show you my latest acquisition. It is a handgun. I haven't bought a pistol in a while, um, but this is something that I had wanted to add to my collection. It's not a caliber that's in very common use these days, but I wouldn't call it obscure either. It's just not as popular as many people had hoped it would be. And as I'm sure you've figured out from the title, it is in fact a Glock 20, 10 millimeter semi-auto pistol. Just picked it up last week, and this particular model is the Glock 20 SF. And SF does not stand for slim frame; it stands for short frame, and meaning that it has the same grip dimension as the regular full-size Glock 17 or Glock 22. And I chose this model because I wear medium gloves. My hands are really not that big. So I wanted to get something that I was already familiar with, because I do have a Glock 22, the 40 caliber version, which is the cartridge that's based off the 10 millimeter. The 10 millimeter is the parent cartridge of the 40 Smith & Wesson. Now, you may ask, why did I get a Glock? Well, there were several reasons. Excuse me. First of all, there's not too many pistols that are offered in 10 millimeter caliber anymore. You've got the Glock 20 and 20 SF and the 20 C, which is the one with a ported barrel, excuse me, and the subcompact Glock 29 and Glock 29C compensated. Glock makes a couple of 10 millimeters with a couple of variations. There is the Colt Delta Elite, which is a government-size 1911 5-inch barrel, rechambered with the frame strengthened to handle the pressures of the 10 millimeter round. And that is the pistol that some people say actually saved the 10 millimeter from falling into obscurity and falling by the wayside. Just a little bit of history here. The 10 millimeter cartridge was developed with a lot of input from the late Colonel Jeff Cooper, and the cartridge itself was originally manufactured by Norma, which is a high-end kind of boutique ammo maker in Sweden. I would say Norma and their Finnish counterparts, Lapua, of 338 Lapua Magnum frame, are two of the more high-end European ammunition manufacturers. But anyways, the 10 millimeter cartridge was introduced, I believe, in 1983. It was made by Norma. The original load was pretty hot. It ran at about 1,400 feet per second muzzle velocity. And later on, at the request of I believe I'm not 100% sure. I believe the creators of the Bren 10. That the Bren 10 was the first 10 millimeter handgun, and it was developed by two gentlemen named Dornhouse and Dixon, and they later asked Norma to cool the load down a little bit, and they brought it down to 1,300 feet per second. But regardless, 10 millimeter cartridge comes out in 1983. It was first shot out of a Bren 10, and that is the pistol that was made famous by Don Johnson in Miami Vice. There were two products that were made famous by that show and that particular character: the Bren 10 millimeter pistol, and of course the Galco Miami Classic, as that's what they call it now, the shoulder holster system that's made by Galco. It was originally the Jackass shoulder rig, and over the years it had developed into what's now known as the Miami Classic, and that's still sold today. So anyways, I chose the Glock because, well, first of all, I do live in California, and there is a roster of firearms, handguns, where if a particular handgun's not on that list, you can't legally buy it in California. The Colt Delta Elite, unfortunately, is on that list. Not that it really matters, because I wasn't interested in another 1911 platform pistol at this time. But the Colt Delta Elite's not on the list. The Kimber makes two 10 millimeter 1911s. One is, I believe, one is stainless, and the other is, it could be one is stainless and one is not, or it might be that both are stainless, and just one has target sights, adjustable sights on it. I'll have to look into that. But basically, Kimber makes a 10 millimeter 1911. Colt still makes the Delta Elite 1911 full size. And there is a really beautiful gun called the EAA, European American Armory, the Witness, and that is based on the classic CZ75 pistol. And the Witness Tanfolio is just absolutely beautiful, but it's not on the list anyways. And I didn't want to spend too much money on a gun where the ammunition is pretty expensive, and I'm not going to be shooting it that much. So most importantly is that I shoot Glocks fairly well. I feel comfortable with them. I do have 3 other Glocks, a 22, a 19, and a 27. And I'm not saying I'm a terrific shot or anything like that, but I tend to shoot these things pretty well. I've got the muscle memory down with that safe action trigger. Kind of know how it breaks now after shooting several hundred rounds in those other calibers. And I think the most important thing is firepower. Let me just show you that this pistol is safe. Nothing in there. Okay. Dry fire it in a safe direction. Alright. In California, as you probably know, we only get 10 rounds for basically any firearm. In the free states, in normal markets, you get a 15-round magazine. Two 15-round magazines with your full-size Glock 20s. And that's a hell of a lot of firepower. 15, if you want to load one in the chamber, it's 15 plus 1 of 10 millimeter. That's a lot of power. And so I think that's a pretty compelling reason to, besides the cost and the reliability, ease of cleaning, all those good things that Glocks are known for, having 16 rounds of a pretty powerful pistol cartridge, that's something that it deserves merit. So I got the Glock. I like them. Shoot them well. They're easy to clean, etc., etc. Now, in this part, I think I'm going to break these videos up into 2 or 3 parts so that they don't get too long, and it doesn't take me too long to upload them. In this part, we're going to talk. I already kind of reviewed this pistol. There are many, many good reviews on YouTube regarding this Glock 20. I just kind of gave you a cursory look. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the history of the cartridge. And actually, I do want to go ahead and show you what I have for ammo now. Alright, 10 millimeter ammunition, you could kind of classify it into 3 different levels. There is the light loads, or what are known as the FBI load, where they take the 10 millimeter and they load it not very hot at all. It's basically a 40 Smith & Wesson, maybe a little bit more power. And that was the FBI load came about because when the FBI started using the 10 millimeter in response to being massively undergunned during the 1986 Miami shootout, a lot of FBI agents are not real, they're not gun enthusiasts. A lot of them are accountants or other professionals by training, and then they became agents in the FBI later on. Anyways, there are there's female agents, there are agents that don't have large hands, and a lot of them were complaining about the recoil and being able to grip this big 10 millimeter firearm. So what happened is, the first thing is they started loading the 10 millimeter a little light to tame the recoil, and eventually what happened was that the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge came about. That was introduced in 1990, and they wanted to get basically 10 millimeter ballistics, more or less, definitely not full 10 millimeter power, but they wanted to get something more powerful than the 9 millimeter but in the size of a 9mm pistol, so that female agents or agents with smaller hands could have an easier time. And that's what kind of how the 40 Smith & Wesson came about, and it just took off in popularity, and it left its parent cartridge behind. But what I'm using for practice ammo right now is this stuff right here, the BVAC Bitterroot Valley. Just got a 500 round bulk pack from Cheaper Than Dirt. Seems to be pretty decent ammo. Looks like a brass jacketed bullet. Even if it's not the greatest, hottest practice ammo, I am going to keep the brass because I would like to start reloading at some point in the future. And 10mm is definitely a cartridge that you want to reload. They are pretty expensive. So got this for practice ammo for now. It's not the hottest practice ammo out there. Hot practice ammo is usually found at the smaller boutique manufacturers, such as, of course, Double Tap, Buffalo Bore, a couple of smaller companies like Georgia Arms, Underwood Ammunition, and then there's even smaller companies like Swamp Fox and Reed's Ammo. They all load their 10mm pretty hot. Actually, speaking of Buffalo Bore, I did go ahead and get at least one box of, excuse me, I'll be right back.